side.
Is yours on?
Sorry, I'm getting into character.
What do you mean? It's been on for about
I'm saving the best story for interviews. All right, then.
Pasta replaced the potato in England.
It'll never replace a potato. How dare you?
Mash are expensive, aren't the potatoes now?
Yeah.
You know, just for like a couple to put in the oven for jackets are about £1.
Exactly. So I think
Hideous,
pasta has.
isn't it?
I think pasta is cheaper, certainly.
It is.
I stand here, I go and make a shadow and put it there.
Okay.
I can't really make a picture.
Cheers.
Cheers, yes.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, isn't it? Cheers. Cheers. Cheers.
Cheers.
Ellen,
Did you manage
cheers,
to get
darling.
to sleep? Or?
Well, you were telling me before something about the first time you saw someone who actually had made a Northern Soul record come to England, and he sang for the first time.
No, that was Alexander Patten, who's on tonight. That was in LA last year. When
LA or here?
No, it's LA, but he's playing here tonight, so you'll get to see him for yourself.
Yeah.
When he'd done a little Loving Sometimes, and Kev Roberts came on and said, "Tell the people here." There's people in tears.
And you said you were crying too.
I was crying Dean Courtney when Dean Courtney was on singing "I'll Always Need You." And I just suddenly, it's not a record I particularly like that much, but he was singing it, and I tell you what I thought, John. I just thought of that 14-year-old thing that we were on about earlier, and everything. Your first sort of real girlfriend, you know, your first sort of bit of real sex, everything just went by, and really that was the record that everyone was playing all the time. But also imagining back to when you were a teenager, thinking, oh, one day I'll meet Dean Courtney. I'll see him sing that song. It was
Did you ever
surreal.
I never thought though.
No, you wouldn't.
Never thought you'd ever meet.
No, never, ever. Can you imagine? I mean, can you imagine the age we are now? So, 40 years ago, we did something and thought nobody had recognised it and forgotten about it, and then suddenly someone comes and says, "You know that bit of work you did? Well, actually, it's been giving people pleasure for the last 40 years on the other side of the Atlantic." You wouldn't believe it, would you?
No, it's absolutely fantastic.
Lou Raglan made this album called The Conveyor in Philadelphia, and he'd got all the local musicians and put together like a super soul band and made this album. And then from his apartment, he put his stereo out on the pavement, and then would stand there with stacks of the LPs, selling them on the street in like whatever, 73. But all the other copies he'd left in the recording studio, and it burnt down. So the only copies that exist of this fantastic album, if you bought it on the street, in Philadelphia, yeah. And I said to him, "Is that true?" He said, "It is, yeah." He said, "It is."
God, they must be worth a bob or two.
Yeah. And that's one of the albums Soul Brother re-released. He's a nice fella as well.
How did you get into Northern Soul?
How did I get into? I don't know.
How old
I had
were
an
you?
older sister who was. All her boyfriends seemed to have scooters, and they all sort of played Tamla Motown. And I can remember hearing really just Motown records all the time, and I don't know how I got into it.
My sister bought Big Wheels of Motown. That was an album that came out as well.
I can remember that. I can remember
that. It had Stone Love on it.
Yeah.
Stone Love.
Hey Girl Don't Bother Me, and I can remember last night dancing to that, and that really just reminds me of being a small child, 6 or 7, and hearing that all the time, clicking on the record player.
So did you spin and all that? Could you do all the dance moves?
I've tried to spin, but I'm a spin failure.
Really?
I'm a spin I'm a spin
Really? Only when I'm
What, that you couldn't hit it?
Yeah, I just can't do it. I can do it, but I threaten to do it, and if you watch me dancing, I threaten to do it all the time. I do this. You watch me dance, I go,
Wait.
I'm really serious.
Over there, Andy.
I don't know, it doesn't take long because I'm only pretending. I go. Yeah. I know, I do it. I'm threatening, but it ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen.
And do you have just as much fun not spinning, or do you really, really wish you could spin and you could never really have a good time?
Yeah. When I'm laid on my deathbed, that'll be a regret that I couldn't spin.
Can you do things like go in the splits and all that?
We used to do a big
I used to practice.
backdrop kick. We used to kick.
I'm too lazy, really.
And then up again.
I used to do a little bit. I used to
maybe do this as well.
Yeah, I threaten to do the splits. If you watch me do this, I go. You ready? I go.
But that was it, and it was a bit. Stop doing it.
You know that one where I go.
Yeah.
I used to be able to maybe do that, but I just threaten to do it now.
Where's John? Can you do?
That you could actually do the
Steve
splits, or you
Bowman
could only
movement?
pretend.
No, I used to
do the splits.
practice
Can I
to
do
do the
Steve
splits.
Bowman?
Can you do the
Can I do
Steve
a Steve
Bowman?
Bowman?
Can you do a Steve Bowman with the toe?
What's that?
Holding
Oh,
onto the toe. Can you do it?
And whip over.
really
That's
hard.
a hip hop thing, isn't it?
It's really hard. Can you do it? It's. I don't think I could.
Do you do it in flip flops?
I'm not very
He's
supple.
doing.
Nearly.
100%, mate. I like it.
Nice
Ah,
one.
Later on, if I
Far
don't
off.
drink tonight, I'm off
Not far off. You
wondering
don't
up
drink.
for it.
You're right. Good.
Maybe you can.
Yeah,
Grab
it's a
one
hip-hop
foot.
move.
Grab
do a
your
jump
foot.
through.
And you've got to take the other one through.
And then keep it like that.
Ask Steve
Excellent.
Bowman to do it in toilets once.
Yeah.
Down I said to him, I said,
Queen.
I said, do you remember the
Such
thing?
a cottager.
Do you remember the thing with the foot?
Happens in the toilets again.
And he says, oh yeah. All right.
Yeah.
He said, oh yeah.
Do it harder, baby.
And he tried it and he fluffed majorly. He just could not do it. You know, he's obviously
He's just a king of double entendre,
20
isn't he?
years.
So who was the best dancer amongst you, or did you not think about things like that? Was
Me,
it competitive?
obviously.
Okay.
And
Okay.
me.
I won,
John-
I won Walter Lane Youth Club dance competition.
Yeah.
Beat Grey Long in final.
Did you?
Did you?
Judge.
I was judging, yeah. Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles. Yeah. Do you remember when he had broken arm? Do you remember when he had broken arm?
Yeah, I do.
No, we're at Wigan, right? It's packed in Maylaws at
You
Wigan.
call him Mika?
You're asking who can do
I
the
don't know him
splits.
with broken-
George is dancing with his arm in a cast, like this fucking liability bloke dancing. Does splits. Coming up like that. George has arm over the top of him. bloke gets up, bangs head on arm. Oh, fucking hell. And I think it might have been the same night, or maybe a week after, that this other bloke's dancing. He's like that with cast again. And this bloke goes like this. And his watch goes beats. Yeah, lagging at that bloke's watch all over the floor.
Was there violence there? Because so many people.
No violence ever. Any violence? No, it's great.
How did
That
you
only
manage
follows
that? Because
Napa.
everything I hear about the North is that the kind of the territorialness of the different villages.
Yeah,
and
but
how
that
people
came
fight
together
in the
there.
forest.
Yeah, that's why we should forget about it.
It was it was underground. So once you got there, you had something in common. And the other thing that people forget about Wigan is you ran the gauntlet in Wigan. It was a rough place. Wigan is a really, really rough mining area, very tough. And the locals hated us. The pubs closed at 11, and the doors of Wigan Casino didn't open till 12. So you had an hour where all the pubs, all these lads coming out, blokes wanting to fight the people invading their town.
Oh yeah.
And then they would just come down there and
What? So if you were like standing
beat you
outside
up
of the.
yeah, especially if you got there quite early, because the locals sussed it and they knew that at 11 o'clock there might be 50 people outside, but if they came back at 11:45 there'd be 1,000 people, and they weren't going to take it. So they'd come at 11 o'clock when there was only 50 people, and if you were unlucky enough to be out there, you know, you got your head kicked in. And I can remember particularly one night, me and you, George, remember? And it was one of those nights where it was just dead. And it was maybe 20 people, and we were in that shop doorway, and it was just like 20 lads, and they had some idiot milkman had left a wall of crates of milk bottles, and me and him were just in a doorway like that, and just 20 blokes just pelleting us with milk bottles for half an hour.
Fucking hell.
Fucking hell.
What you?
Yeah. Do you remember that? And then, do you remember that other time, that right summer's evening, and we ended up on I don't know if from Manchester to Wigan. It was like a No, it wasn't. And there was like three or four sort of bikers really sort of got on train to cause trouble, but didn't realise that there was loads of people in next carriage. Do you remember? And they were giving it large ones. You might have had a broken arm then. And they were giving it large ones. And then loads of people came through saying, "Oh, what's going on? Do you need some help?" And we threw them off at that station. And that lad tried to throw a punch. And Harry closed window on him. So this guy's on the station platform. And he threw a punch into and Harry went like that with wind and trapped his hand. The train's pulling out. These lads like, "No, platform there." Harry's just like that, looking at him. Yeah. He got off platform as well, didn't he, before we let him off? Blood just dropped off.
But how come in that?
Fantastic. Lagging. In 2 minutes, you went from just about to get filled in by some fat blokes to like people coming to your rescue, and then he's getting his comeuppance along platform. Fuck you.
And did you meet girlfriends when you went to Northern Soul dances?
Yeah, you did, but it wasn't uppermost in your mind, I've got to say.
And do you have just as much fun now as you had then, or what is it like for you now to go to the Northern Soul dances?
It can be really good, but it can be quite disappointing sometimes. Because if you're not careful, you just end up with the same soundtrack going on, and you can soon get into a rut with it all and fall for the nostalgia thing. It should have a life of its own, and sometimes it does have a life of its own. But I think people, probably because of the age of the people that are in the room, are quite afraid of the new. And there's already a big division with the types of Northern Soul: the R&B, the oldies, the modern.
It always has been though.
It's even worse now because everyone's older and stuck in the
It
ways.
was oldies and newies then, and now there's R&B involved.
I'll tell you what makes me out sing, and
Ran out.
there was one there last night in that modern room.
Yeah,
There was a proper solie in bags, brogues, white socks and a vest,
there's two there tonight.
rocking out in modern room. Totally, I love that.
Yeah.
And why do you go? If it's not for nostalgia, why do you go? Because you like the dancing, or because you see your mates there?
Bit of both, really. But I do like expressing myself dancing to Northern Soul is probably
it's all
the
about,
biggest
isn't
bit of pleasure I get. There's just something about it. I love dancing, and I always have, and I love music,
That's what
all
keeps you
types of
going
music. But that thing when you're just out and you get a certain set of records and you're out there and you can express yourself and it means something, doesn't it? And all the other cliches.
Don't know what you're talking
It just
about.
connects with something, doesn't it? And it's like,
Put yourself for a short time.
yeah. I don't do a lot. I'm not a very creative person.
Expressive, isn't it? It's about-
Still exciting.
You know, I can remember the first time I went to the ballet. I thought I'd hate it. I just couldn't see what, and I had to be dragged along. And I watched a play being expressed in dance and totally understood it and got it. And contemporary dance as well. You know. Yeah, I understand that expression. I can't draw or sculpt or write, so I can't do that. Can't do it. So like, I do feel fully expressing myself sometimes. Not all night, but there's just moments where I just think, yeah,
When you get it,
this is me, yeah.
Yeah, go big. Soothe me. Can we clap? Yeah, a bit louder. Come on.